You're listening to Civic Media. Stay up to date on the latest news and information for your local community and Wisconsin by signing up for our free email newsletter. Visit civicmedia.us/email to get started.
Civic Media News. I'm Terry Bell. Here's what Wisconsin needs to know. A little more than half of Wisconsin students who took the state's main standardized test last spring met or exceeded grade-level expectations in English language arts and math. But it's hard to compare the results of last year's forward exam because the Department of Public Instruction changed the scoring system. Water systems nationwide will have to get rid of their lead pipes. That's after President Biden's announcement yesterday in Milwaukee. Stuart J. Waddles was there.
Biden used his trip to Milwaukee to issue a new deadline for cities to replace those lead water pipes.
I'm announcing a new rule written into law from the Environmental Protection Agency that requires water systems across America replace lead pipe service in every single one in America within 10 years.
Milwaukee has the 5th highest concentration of lead pipes in the country. With the president in Milwaukee, I'm Stuart J. Waddles.
U.S. Senate candidate Eric Hovde is claiming FEMA is running out of money, but the Federal Emergency Agency says it's not true. Hovde goes on to claim in a social media post that money for Hurricane Helene relief is being diverted to illegal immigrants. FEMA says that's not the case either and is asking people to stop sharing the video. Young adults are registered to vote like never before. Vote.org reports signing up a record 800,000 new voters under the age of 35. Registration is especially high in states with abortion restrictions, like Wisconsin.
In spite of all that kind of dysfunction, they're being compelled to vote by a lot of issues they've also grown up around. This is the generation that grew up with mass shootings in schools.
John Marcus reports on higher education for the Heshinger Report. Blames supply and demand for higher egg prices. University of Wisconsin economist Andrew Stevens says this year's bird flu outbreak meant a lot of laying hens had to be euthanized, and it takes about 6 months to replace them. Stevens points out it's also the time of year when more people start baking again, which brings up demand. The Milwaukee Brewers will be on TV next year, but they won't be on Bally Sports Network. Major League Baseball says it will produce and distribute all non-nationally televised games for the Brewers. Bally's owner is in bankruptcy. I'm Terry Bell, Civic Media News. Now, here's what you need to know closer to home.
For WRCE News, I'm Joanne Krulotz. Early detection of diseases can be life-saving, preventing serious illnesses before they develop. Civic Media's Melissa Kay reports.
Having an annual exam with your primary care provider can keep you up to date on important health screenings. These screenings happen at certain ages, but some individuals are at an increased risk based on several factors.
Other things that can be important is their family history. So if your parents, your brother, your sister, aunts, uncles, or grandparents have certain medical conditions, that can put you at increased risk of disease as well.
That's Christy Wegner, MD and family medicine physician at Aspirus Health. She said they're having to screen for some diseases at younger ages.
Individuals have been getting colon cancer at younger and younger ages.
Dr. Wegner said understanding the risks and benefits of screenings can put patients at ease.
The American Red Cross continues to work to restock critically needed blood products uncollected due to the ongoing impact of Hurricane Helene's devastation in the southeast. Since making landfall, the storm and its aftermath have led to the cancellation of more than 100 blood drives, causing thousands of blood and platelet donations to go uncollected. Donors outside of affected areas are encouraged to make an appointment to give now and help keep the blood supply stable in the weeks to come. Bring hope to those in need by visiting redcrossblood.org, by calling 1-800-RED-CROSS, or by using the Red Cross Blood Donor app. As the Red Cross continues to urge people to give blood or platelets now, Red Cross teams are also on the ground providing vital relief like food, water, shelter, and support in communities devastated by Hurricane Helene. If you're able to help those impacted by disasters, big and small, across the country, consider making a gift of any amount. A link can be found at civicmedia.us. Emergencies can happen at any time, and emergency departments nationwide need to be prepared to treat patients of all ages. Gunderson-Boscobel Area Hospital is committed to providing the best care to pediatric patients and has been officially recognized as a pediatric-ready facility by Wisconsin Emergency Medical Services for Children. Wisconsin Emergency Medical Services for Children has designed the Emergency Department Pediatric Recognition Program. Senator Tammy Baldwin made a campaign stop in Superior Monday to kick off her Business Leaders for Baldwin Coalition. Senator Baldwin was joined by Mayor Jim Payne and a number of business leaders focused on supporting small businesses across the state. Senator Baldwin is facing a challenge for her third term from Republican banker Eric Hovde. Wisconsin's Senate race is one of the most consequential in the country, potentially shifting which party controls the Senate if Baldwin is not reelected for her third term. The Village of Muscoda will host a free e-recycling collection event this Saturday from 8 to 11 on Morrell Lane. The electronic recycling event allows you to dispose of your electronics safely and responsibly. Carla Doudna, utility clerk for the Village of Muscoda, invites everyone to participate.
When I say anybody, it doesn't matter if you're in Wazeeka or if you're in Platteville, Prairie du Chien, you're in Sauk County, Vernon County, Dane County, Iowa County. We really want to promote it to let people know that if you have something that you need to get rid of for free, everything that you bring is free of charge, that we want you to bring it.
Doudna urges you to bring in anything electronic you no longer use. If you plan to bring a battery-operated item, you are asked to remove the batteries. The free e-recycling collection event will be held Saturday from 8 to 11 on Morrell Lane in Muscoda. And that's what you need to know. I'm Joanne Krulotz.
The Packers back at practice. Hi, I'm Mike Clemens with sports. The Green Bay Packers installing the game plan for their matchup Sunday against the Cardinals at Lambeau Field. Quarterback Jordan Love has already thrown 5 interceptions this season, but says he knows he can do better.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things you just got to be smart with the ball. You know, you look at last week and we're down, we're trying to make plays. So you're trying to force the ball and things like that. But it just comes down to being smart with the ball, and I got to do a better job with that.
NBA Bucks head coach Doc Rivers says they may have dodged a bullet. New guard Gary Trent Jr., signed from the Raptors, did not need an MRI after suffering a hyperextended elbow against the Pistons. Rivers says he may even be able to play tomorrow night when the Bucks host the Lakers. College basketball, Greg Gard says he's been impressed this summer by sophomore guard John Blackwell, saying he kind of reminds him of former Badger Johnny Davis, who's now in the NBA.
Came back in June. I felt he knew he was the best player on the floor. He wanted to dominate. It's just a competitive mindset to be the best on the floor.
That's Badgers head coach Greg Gard. With sports, I'm Mike Clemens.
On your entertainment beat, I'm Pete Schwaba. If you haven't seen Wolverine and Deadpool yet, you're in luck. It's still in theaters. The film has taken in $633 million at the domestic box office, and it's been in theaters since early July. Showing some serious staying power, the Ryan Reynolds, Hugh Jackman-led blockbuster came in 7th place this past weekend at the box office, still managing to pull in $1.5 million in its 11th week of release. That, folks, is what they call having box office legs. In interesting business model news, who doesn't love to be freaked out by their accommodations when traveling? That said, soon you can make your worst nightmares come true by staying at the house that was the setting for the 1982 film Poltergeist. The Simi Valley, California house just sold to a man hoping to not only turn it into an Airbnb, but replicate the movie set where a young girl got sucked into the TV set. Luckily, that is more unlikely to happen nowadays with the much less poltergeist-friendly flat-screen TVs. If you're sort of in the dumps about recent Star Wars shows not lasting so long, don't feel sorry for the franchise. The brand is as profitable as ever. The Hollywood Reporter says the studio made $1 billion from merchandising in 2023 alone. In a stroke of genius, Star Wars creator George Lucas negotiated for the rights to merchandise. The studios thought he was crazy and agreed. Lucas sold the rights back to Disney a few years ago for $4 billion. It's just that simple. All he had to do was create a profitable movie franchise. Word on the street is that actor Fart Smith and star of Independence Day Will Smith and Michael Bay, director of the first Bad Boys with Smith, are teaming up for a new action film for Netflix called Fast and Loose. Smith recently made headlines for having the worst smelling gas in the Western Hemisphere. Director Barry Sonnenfeld claimed that on the original Men in Black, Will ripped a doozy that closed down the set until the stench subsided a week ago Tuesday. Despite being married to the star of Sex and the City, Mr. Sarah Jessica Parker, Matthew Broderick says there are guest roles he had no problem turning down when offered so the two could work together. One role in particular the actor turned down was that of a premature, sort of sounds like miscalculator. Hey, that actually kind of makes sense. The New York Post reports that Parker says the couple doesn't work together because why would they? Stating a desire to keep their personal and professional lives separate. It's official, Taylor Swift is the richest female musician in the world. To be honest, I couldn't believe she wasn't already. Forbes reports that the 34-year-old megastar has a net worth of $1.6 billion. That's impressive enough, but she officially became a billionaire just last fall, so the cash is still rolling in. Swift surpassed the former richest female musician, Rihanna, who has a net worth of a measly $1.4 billion.
Sounds like Taylor can officially stop waitressing. For more showbiz fun, tune in to Nightlight with me, Pete Schwaba, weeknights from 6 to 8 p.m. on the Civic Media Radio Network.
It is going to be sunny and warm here for a few more days, but fall temperatures are going to return by the weekend. Today, mostly sunny. We'll get to the low to mid-70s here this afternoon. Tonight, clear, mid to upper 40s. Tomorrow, sunshine, mid to upper 70s. We'll be back in the 60s by Saturday. I'm meteorologist Sean Cable. Outside now, it's 43.
The national news cycle never stops, but it can be hard to find news about your local community. Civic Media is dedicated to providing quality local and state news coverage across Wisconsin. With the Civic Media app, you can get notifications about local stories that matter to you and your community. Find the free Civic Media app in your phone's app store and choose notifications from the menu to tell us what kind of news you want to hear about.